Hi, it's John Riki here from the Brisbane Broncos. I'm here talking about family, culture, and vulnerability. Welcome. This is Marlee and Me. Hi, this is John Riki here from the Brisbane Broncos. I'm here talking about family, culture, and vulnerability. Welcome to Marlee and Me.
Geordie, listening to your koto talk about this and what it means, like how much does that mean to you?
Yeah, I'm just really proud. Sorry.
That's not doing me sorry.
Yeah, I think I worked really hard. It's really nice to hear that they're really proud of me.
Today we sit down with Brisbane Broncos forward Jordan Riki. I met Geordie when he was a teenager who just moved over to Australia to chase his dreams. But I'd never heard the full story of his journey from growing up in New Zealand to making his mark in the NRL until this conversation. And it is nothing short of inspiring. We dive deep into the role his family and culture have played in shaping the man he is today, unpacking his identity as both a proud Māori and Aboriginal man with ties to the Noongar people. We're also lucky enough to have Jordan's koto, or grandfather, join us for a yarn. We also discuss the challenge Jordan faced after losing his close mate, Liam Hampson. So get ready for an honest and heartfelt conversation about life, legacy, and the passion that drives Jordan both on and off the field. This episode was recorded on the lands of the Turrbal and Yagara peoples.
Well, Geordie, it's an absolute pleasure to be here and to have this yarn with you. Before we started recording on the mics, we were talking about that, you know, we're a bit familiar with each other and you don't like doing interviews like this, but how do you feel about it right now?
No, I feel good. I feel calm. Obviously because I've known you for, 5-6 years?
Yeah, God, it must be that age.
Yeah. I've known you for a while now. So, I know, it feels really good and really calming. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good thing to hear for me. This makes my job a lot easier.
Yeah.
We're also in the room with someone that's pretty special to you. I'm so glad you brought, someone who's this important in this room today. Can you tell me who it is?
Yeah, so that's he would probably be a bit embarrassed me saying this, but that's my koro over there. In English terms, that's my granddad. So he's played a huge role in my life, and basically the reason why I started playing rugby league. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to talk about that so much. You know, this conversation to me is a way to figure out like who shaped Jordan Riki, who we see today, and how that support network, the people you love, have led you to being here. But before we get that, for me, the way that I was sort of raised and in my culture, we always start by talking about who we are and where we're from.
Yeah.
My question is always, who's your mob, where you from, right?
Yeah.
So I always introduce myself, start conversations like this by telling people that I'm Marlee Silver and I'm a proud Gamilaroi Dunghutti woman who was raised on Darawal country. But how do you introduce yourself?
So I've actually got a pretty cool mixture. I'm a proud Māori and Indigenous man. My biological father was a Noongar man from like the Adelaide region around there. And funnily enough, I always obviously knew that my whole life. But just he obviously wasn't around when I was growing up. But my mum, on my mum's side, they brought me up to be a proud Māori man. We're from Tainui as well, which is around the Waikato region, which is like Hamilton mainly, and then you got like Huntly, and then we're from a little beautiful town called Raglan, which is quite a popular holiday destination now, I'd say. But I think back in Koro's day where he grew up there, there probably wasn't much there. Other than just a bit of fishing and probably hunting as well. But I haven't been back in a while. I definitely keen to go back there and be there for Christmas. I'm hoping this year. But from what I've heard, there's a lot of holiday homes and stuff like that now.
yeah.
So it's changed quite a lot. So but I'm a proud mixture of both. So yeah.
When we talk about our families and our cultures and where we're from like that, ultimately we're talking about home, right?
Yeah.
So where's home to you?
So I did most of my childhood in Christchurch down in the South Island. I was pretty much brought up in a little place called Sheffield, which my grandparents owned a pub there.
Oh, cool.
So that was quite cool. And then my mum lived in Burnside and Christchurch as well. So all my family pretty much still live there in Christchurch. My uncle now lives in Wellington, but yeah, for me growing up, it was all out of Christchurch, New Zealand. So that's home to me. And every Christmas or time I go off, I fly back to Christchurch and see my family. So yeah.
When you were growing up there, who was around you?
So obviously my mum, my mum single raised me pretty much my whole life. She's just an awesome lady. She had me at a bit of a young age too, and she would always take me out to my grandparents' house out in Sheffield, or the pub, where we lived and where they worked. And pretty much my father growing up was my koro as well, and I would hang out with him most school holidays and most weekends, and he used to take me to most of my games, and if mum couldn't, but mum would always take me to most of my games and trainings and stuff like that, and sit there on the late nights and the cold nights as well. But most of my family we're all very, very close and close to one another. So I got a lot of aunties and uncles as well who probably shaped me and molded me into the man I am today. So yeah.
What's Sheffield like then? Yeah, what's that pub like? Tell me about it.
No, it's cool, eh?
Yeah.
It's real cool. It's a little town. There's only one school there, a little primary school, and a local pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then other than that, it's just a farmland basically, and one pub as well there, and then there's a pie shop actually. Shout out Sheffield Pie Shop. They've won a few awards over their time that they've been there, and mum's family friends, Shane and Rhett used to. Do they still own that? They don't own that anymore.
No.
They used to own it, and I used to go in there sometimes to get some free pies from them because they were good mates with mum and our family as well. So that was cool, and yeah, it was just a cool little town, and there was a little rugby club there, Sheffield Sharks too. So there wasn't really a whole bunch to do there, but I made the most of it. There was a lot of trees and farmland, and I remember me and my cousin back in the day, Sam, used to try ride the farm animals and stuff out in the back. So that was pretty cool. And just a bit of fishing and going down to the local river there and jumping in there, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Laid back lifestyle, I guess. I always used to go out there most school holidays, so that was pretty much me. Yeah.
Do you see yourself as a bit of a country boy then?
I'm not sure. Not really.
Yeah,
not
yeah.
really. I grew up around there, but I don't think I'd say I was, because we didn't really have any, we didn't own any farm animals and stuff like that. It was just,
you just tried to ride them.
yeah, pretty much. It was just the pub really. So I wouldn't say I was a farm boy. I did all my schooling and most of pretty much all my rugby and rugby league in the city. So I wouldn't say I'm a farm boy, but I could say I did probably grew up around it and got a fair idea of what it's like out there. So yeah.
Tell me about some of your memories with your koro.
I just loved being around him. He was pretty much my dad, like I said, growing up. So he was obviously when I was younger, bit of a staunch hard man on me, but I'm very grateful for that. I'd say I got a lot of my physical toughness and mental toughness from him, and obviously had a I've seen him day to day dealing with people at the pub as well. So, he just dealt with them with such a huge smile, and just a loving person. And I think I got that a lot from him, and I think that's gone into our whole family as well. So, our whole family just love being around people and greet people with a huge smile and just a lot of big ball energy. And he always just sat me down with him. We always used to watch the All Blacks or the Warriors and stuff like that in the pub, and obviously around his friends as well that would come in and be local drinkers. So that was pretty cool. And I think that's where the love of the game really grew for me. And I know that he played both, you know, at a younger age as well. And so did my uncle, and obviously my aunties are quite sporty as well. They all played like netball and stuff like that growing up too. So I was always around sport, and the sports channel was always on at the pub basically. So it'd be literally from rugby, rugby league, golf, tennis, you name it. Anything was on at the time. So yeah.
Well, you said he's the reason that you played the game.
Yeah.
How literal is that?
No, it's actually a true story. So my mum took me down when I was about 4 or 5 years old to play for Burnside Rugby. And I was a pretty large boy, a bit Gumby as well, I'd say. And back then it was, I'm not sure if it's the same now, but back then it was Ripper Rugby. So like tag basically.
Tag, yeah.
And I'd probably take a bit to wind up and slow down as well. So I used to get ripped in and accidentally like bowl kids over and stuff like that for rugby. And a few parents complained, and a few parents complained, and you know, saying I was too big for that competition and stuff like that. And you know, I was hurting their kids. And yeah, mum had to, I think mum got to the point where she'd take my birth certificate down and like prove to the parents that I was the same age as their kids. So that was pretty bad. And then I think Caudle came down one game, and I think he was probably fed up with what the other parents were saying, and he just took me down to the local rugby league club at the time, which was Riccarton Knights. Same club as Lewis Brown actually, who owned Earls. He went to Riccarton Knights as well. So went down there and he pretty much signed me up and dropped me off at mum's and went, oh, Jordan's playing rugby league now. And to mum's surprise, she was like, oh, okay. Like, didn't really have anything to say. So that was probably the literal reason why I started playing rugby league. And I remember playing the first game, and I just fell in love with the game, how fast paced it was and how much more ball you get and stuff like that. And it was actual contact then for the younger grades too. So you could get stuck in and not have to rip a tag. And
your size isn't a problem, it's a skill.
Yeah, well, it's funny because like when I started playing rugby league, there was kids same age as me but 10 times bigger. So like I've just felt fitted in there. So it was really nice. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Well, I mean, you spoke a bit about your mum there, and you know, I know from our personal conversations how much you love her.
Yeah.
How would you describe your mum?
Just a beautiful ball of energy. My mum is. You know, she's a very hardworking lady, and I like to think that's where I got. My whole family's you know, works very hard, but you know, I know my mum, she always works very hard, and I like to think that's where I got my work ethic from. And I'd like to think of myself as a bit of a workhorse player, not the pretty boy stuff, but I like to try to get stuck in and work hard for my teammates. And I'd say I get a lot of that from her and my family. You know, mum's you know, she's the number one for me and number one in my life. So I definitely owe a lot to her and my family. So yeah.
What would you say is the biggest value or lesson from her that you kind of live every day?
I think from her, she's always just been huge on like how you treat people. You know, mum's very huge on that, is you know, just be yourself and be who you are. I think that's another thing that my mum's always drilled into me. You know, just you don't have to change for anybody. You know, people like you for you and all that sort of thing. And I like to think you know, I like to walk into a room and you know, like to greet people and say hello to people and just be me. And you know, I like to think you know, if people go away from after meeting me, they just go, oh man, you know, Jordan's a nice, lovely person. And I think that you know, I know for a fact that definitely puts a smile on mum's face. You know, I think she goes away from that knowing that she's done her job and she's raised a good young man, and she always rings me up going, oh, I met so-and-so that's met you, and they said that you're a lovely person and stuff like that. And I think to mum's, she's told me that before, that you know, that's probably the proudest thing that she could get told is you know, she raised a nice young man, and you know, who's not a bit cocky or arrogant, and you know, just be's himself. So yeah.
I was actually reading a few articles from back before you were playing first grade, and I think it was around the time you were being pulled into the Māori All-Stars team for the first time, and your mum was quoted in an article, and she said that I often used to ask him, what won't you do to get your dream? And the answer would always be nothing. And like, that's a pretty telling and beautiful sentiment to how she shaped you?
Yeah. It's funny. Hey, I used to get asked at school all the time. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I was just rugby league player. I want to be a rugby league player, and they always used to be like, nicely, what if it doesn't work out? And I just, in my head, I was like, nah, that's all I think that's all I wanted to be. Like, that was just my determined. I was like, no, I'm going to be a rugby player. I know I'm going to be a rugby league player. So, I don't know. I just had that determination and just wanted to be a rugby league player. So, I'll never forget that phone call actually that day, where I got called from David Kidwell to be brought into the Māori All-Stars before I even actually played NRL. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hearing about how much your family means to you, but also how determined you were to make rugby league that dream come true, I think this almost answers my next question, which was going to be, it must have been hard when you first moved over here. How old were you?
Yeah, I was 17.
Yeah, that's so young. How was that?
No, it was very, very hard. Yeah. There was a lot of phone calls back home. Pretty much crying on the phone, saying to mum, I want to come home. I moved over, obviously straight out of high school, pretty much straight into the junior EPD program here at the Broncos. And I just remember getting dropped off at the house, and it was pretty much a sink or swim situation, really. I turned up with 2 suitcases, and there was no furniture or anything in the room. It was just an empty room. I was living at the Bronx house at the time with, we all moved in pretty much on the same day or the same week. It was me, Ethan Bullymore, who was at Broncos, is now at Manly, Corey Pakes, who's here now, and then 2 other boys, Brock Dimmitt and Travis Turnbull, who were both Toowoomba boys at the time too. So, I just remember rocking up with 2 suitcases, really, and didn't have a car or anything like that. I had my license, which was good. I made sure I got that before I moved over. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to get to training, stuff like that. So I was pretty lucky enough to get some rides with the boys that I was living with at the time, in and out from training. But, it was pretty much a sink or swim situation and a lot of hard phone calls. And, didn't really have, came over with not a lot of money. So I think I slept on a blow-up mattress for about 6 months.
Oh my goodness.
One of those blow-up mattresses. And then my auntie came over from New Zealand, and she had she wasn't living in Melbourne at the time, and I remember she helped me buy me an actual proper decent bed. And I think I did like weekly transactions to her to pay her back.
Wow.
That was really grateful for that. And but it was just like little things, like I've never done a grocery shop or anything like that by myself. So I remember just sitting in there going, man, what do I buy? And stuff like I knew how to cook, basic stuff, like eggs
on toast.
Yeah, pretty much. Eggs, like chicken, all that sort of stuff. But definitely had to grow up pretty quick, and we're only allowed to be in that house for a year too. So was pretty much learned about bills and all that sort of stuff at a young age too. So even though I like to think I'm still probably a bit young, I'm only 24, but I like to think I've definitely come a long way, in the adulthood life. So had to grow up pretty quick.
What did mum say on the phone when you were saying I want to go home?
Obviously I know now it used to kill her, deep down, I'd call up and I'd be crying, missing my family and homesick and stuff like that. But she always used to put on like a bit of a brave tone and stuff like that. She'd be like, look, there's, this is what you want. Like, this is, she just keep like reassuring me on this is what you want and this is what you want to do. And, do you want to come home and work at a normal, 9-to-5 job, which was nothing wrong with that. No. But, I just couldn't see myself doing that. So she always just gave me reassurance and stuff like that. And, just reminded me what my dream wanted to be. And obviously I did have, when I came over, I had a few hiccups along the way. I learnt the hard way and, dealing with money and probably going out with friends and stuff like that. But, I'm obviously grateful for all of that, learning the hard way, because I definitely don't think I'd be here today if I didn't learn some of those lessons in life. So, Am
I right in remembering that you debuted in COVID? And then was the video when your mum came here and saw you for the first time, that went quite viral, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
When did that happen?
No, so I debuted during COVID. It wasn't the biggest. I remember just picturing, I'm going to debut at Suncorp or 50,000 fans, stuff like that. Growing up and coming through the Bronx thing, and COVID hit and there was no crowds. So I remember playing. I remember Anthony Seabold, who was our coach at the time, called me up and went, "Mate, I'm proud to ring you and say that I want you to debut for us." And I was just stoked and over the moon, and never thought. I was always hoping and thought that possibility would come, but I didn't think it would come that quick. I think we had a pretty hard time with injuries that year too. So, I was just hugely stoked and grateful. And I just remember thinking, oh man, I wonder what it's going to be like. I remember it was down in Canberra too, against the Raiders, and came on in the second half. And it was just weird, like the whole stadium was empty. I remember, like, if you score a try, they used to play like the crowd,
the sound.
So I remember, like, it was just weird. It was the weirdest thing. But I just remember running out there, and it was weird, like it was so fast because I wasn't used to that that fast pace of footy. But in my head, it was so like slow motion. It was weird. Like I remember like running out or running the ball, and I was seeing like Jack Wyden and stuff like that, and I used to be like, fire, I watch these guys on TV, you know what I mean? And I was just in awe of the other players as well, and I was just like, fuck, I can't believe I'm playing against these guys. But it was just such a cool experience, but it was just so weird. I always thought, my family would be there and all that sort of stuff.
I mean, you mentioned this earlier, but your first taste of sort of TV footy was All Stars. And I want to talk about culture, because I think when you have the opportunity to represent your culture in whatever you do, it does feel different. And so what was it like when you got that phone call?
Oh, I remember being in preseason, and preseason days are long, like real long. I think I was lying on my bed with my phone on my chest, and it rang, and I looked at it, it was just a random number, and I was like, no, I'm not going to answer that. Turned off, and I think literally 5 seconds later it rang again. It was the same number, and I was like, oh, fire, it must be important. Like, it wouldn't be a pocket call or anything like that. So I picked up, and I was like, I remember just being real tired and like half asleep, lying on my bed, and I was like, hello, John Riki speaking. And then it was like, hey, mate, it's David Kidwell. I was like, I was just wide awake. I was just like, hey, sir, like calling him sir and stuff like that. I was only like 18, 19. I was like, hey, sir, how are you? And he was laughing. He's like, oh, hey, mate. Oh, good. Yeah. He goes, oh, how you been? How's preseason? I was like, it's been hot as, about 34, 35 degrees most days, and all that sort of stuff. And he's like, oh, mate, I'm really, like, pretty similar situation as Siebes. He's like, mate, I'm really proud to call you and just, let you know that I want you to come into the All-Stars. And I actually didn't think I was playing, because I thought he just wanted me to get me around, like, the boys and the crew and just be in the wider squad. So I was like, oh, yeah, real grateful. I was like, yep. And I was like, oh, man, I can't believe I'm about to, like, go on the Multi All-Stars with this group. And I didn't think I was playing for a while. And then I think like halfway through the camp, Kitty was talking to the boys, and he's like, everyone sit in this room, you're going to get a taste of, the NRL Stars. And I think I was like, oh, like, am I playing? And I had to go double check. I asked him, I was like, am I playing? And he goes, yeah, everyone's playing in here. And I was like, oh, I was like, far out, I can't believe this is cool. So I think I rang my mum. I rang my mum after I thought, I was going to be in like the squad and all that, but then I rang her again. I was like, I'm actually playing, and mum and dad and a few family friends, they actually surprised me and flew over for the game, which was really nice too. So they I think they called me the day before the game, and they're, we're flying in tonight, and we want to, like, this is pretty much NRL debut really. So it was just hugely exciting, and it's a different feeling. Hey, like I played like junior Kiwis and stuff like that for my country, but I think to step out for your culture and everything that, I really feel like my culture has molded me hugely into the person I am. So it's just a different feeling to run out there and do the haka and your national anthem and stand alongside the boys, knowing that your ancestors as well are like, you just feel like that rush. It's a weird feeling, but I love the feeling, and it's sort of really hard to describe too, the amount of proudness that you feel representing your culture. And I think in the national anthem, I've probably shed a few tears in that as well. And did the haka, and obviously to have the Indigenous war cry and to face that as well is just such an awesome and amazing feeling. And I love that week, like you know, you get around both cultures, and it's not like a rival week at all. Like we're always around each other, like both teams, and even the girls as well. Like we're all 4 teams are around each other. Oh, now that touch has come in too. We're all around each other, and we share like just a immense amount of proudness in both cultures, and it's just really, really cool. And I love the whole concept of the week too, and to have it in New Zealand and both Australia as well, it's just, I don't know, I just love it. I love the whole week. It's really cool. Yeah,
it's so positive. Hey, like I don't know if there's like in the world of rugby league as we exist in, there's not more love in the space than what you feel in an All-Stars week. Yeah. It's funny, because I think to the outside people, they think of it as such like a bit of a rivalry, but it's not that at all, It's not. Like, obviously, when it comes to game time, you're like, right, like, you know, it's a game. You want to win.
You want to win. But, like, during that whole week, it's all about getting to know your culture. You know, there's a lot of boys coming into camp that, you know, are of descent of Māori and Indigenous, but don't know pretty much anything. And it's just about, you know, we got elders coming in from both cultures that teach you and teach you words and sayings and phrases and, you know, giving you, you know, cool old stories of, you know, your ancestors and stuff like that. It's just such a cool week. So, yeah.
Growing up, I mean, you said that your Māori culture has really shaped you. What is it about your culture that has shaped you, or what were your experiences in connection to culture growing up?
So my family, quite, I like to say like we speak a lot of Māori language within our family, whether it's, you know, like a normal conversation. You know, I like to say, I know, you know, quite a few Māori words and phrases and sayings, and I can, do my mihi, my pipiha, which is pretty much like who I am and where I'm from and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just awesome. You know, we got a lot of, I've got a lot of young cousins and that as well. So our whole family speak te reo Māori to them, and they can speak it fluently back, which is really cool. And I wish I could speak fluently. You know, that's definitely a goal of mine to get into there. But my mum and a lot of my uncle and a lot of my family members can speak fluent te reo Māori, which is cool. And growing up in New Zealand, you know, Māori is you know, in a lot of schools as well, and which is really cool. I found, and sadly, I think now with the new government change, they've tried to take that out, or are trying to take that out, which is really gutting to me. And but that's a story for another time, I guess.
It's not a political podcast.
Yeah. Sorry about that. But which is really sad, and but yeah, you know, it was just really cool. You know, whether you were a Māori or you weren't, you know, everyone knew just the classic saying of kia ora, which is hello, like and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. And a lot of kids did a lot of kapa haka as well, which is like the haka, and then you can do like singing, the ladies do singing and poi and stuff like that as well, which is really, really cool. And yeah, I just got around it pretty much my whole childhood. And I actually went to nationals for kapa haka as well when I was a bit younger through high school, and I used to play rugby on Saturday morning and then go to training like for kapa haka on the weekends, and did that for a few months, and did 2 years of that for a kapa haka group called Te Pua Waitanga actually. So shout out to those guys. I probably haven't seen you in ages, but shout out to them. And it was actually really, really cool experience, and learned so much through them as well. So yeah,
it's hard to try and articulate this, but for people who maybe have not kind of had any interactions with Māori culture, or aren't that aware about it other than maybe something like a haka. I mean, when I think about my culture, like I think of sort of the values that it's instilled in me in terms of like the importance of family and connection to country and things like that. Are there values from your Māori culture that like how would you describe them to someone who doesn't know?
It's very, what I love is I like to think we're very, very similar to the Indigenous culture. Even though I'm both, I'm very proud in both, and I've had conversations with you about and a lot of other people as well about trying to learn my biological father's side, him being a Noongar man, and I'm still very, very keen and open to learn a lot more about that. But the two that I love, like you were saying before, is we very, very much connect to the land. Whether it's the ocean, the forestry, the mountains, just stuff like that is hugely important to both cultures, and especially myself. And I like to think, where my family are from, we're from a little town, like I said, called Raglan. It's a very beach area, so like I like to think I'm a bit of a water baby, and the rest of my family are. So I feel very, very connected every time I go to the beach. It's just something about being in the water and feeling the sand between your toes. You just feel like this whole calming aspect and just being connected. Like you said, to the land and to the people as well. And I just think it's such a cool thing, and obviously very agricultural as well. We live off the land. We just little things like that is just hugely important to both of us and both cultures. So
100%. I think through dreaming stories and songlines and how we speak of connection to country here, there's no separation between person, like individual, community and country. Like it's a flow. Like we are together.
It's the same thing. It's just like so for us, and you would know, like, is where you draw your energy from. Mother Earth. You draw your energy from. Just that way, you just feel so much more calmer and more relaxed, and and even animals as well. We obviously owe a lot of credit to them, even though we lived off them, but we're very grateful for what they do, and obviously how they help out the land, but then also us as well. So
you've spoken a bit about it, and it's like, again, on a personal level, it's really cool to see where you're at with your journey in terms of understanding your Aboriginality. Because I remember us having a conversation a few years ago now where you knew, and obviously it's hard when you're not connected to that like person who is from that culture in your family. But I remember you telling me about an experience you'd had up in Darwin when you played there. And was it that people, like family members of yours, maybe came up to you after a game? And that was sort of where you were like, I don't know how to deal with this, but do you remember that?
I do. I remember. So we played up in Darwin, and I think it turned out to be my biological father's maybe brother that was like their like connection through that way, like might have been his niece and nephew. And it's actually pretty cool because my mum keeps in contact with them still.
Awesome.
And that's how I found out majority of like a lot of my stuff as well, which is quite cool. And on my father's side, and I didn't really know how to react, but I was sort of like, it was just a weird feeling, because I was like, oh, far out, like this is like kind of cool. But then I was also very like nervous and nerve-wracking for me as well, because I just knew very little. Like my mum always told me growing up that my father was an Indigenous man, but because we didn't have any contact of him, we just didn't know really to start seeking out. So I guess like me playing rugby league, it's also helped me as a blessing, because like probably people on my father's side is like, oh, I actually know that boy. So that's how they probably reached out as well. So that was quite a cool to get it through that way as well. But I definitely like to learn a lot more, and I like to go back there and sort of, I don't know, get welcomed onto the land by the elders. I think that's I've told mum that a few times. I'd really like to go back and get welcomed onto the land there. So
you've got quite a few teammates as well who are such proud Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander men. Like, what have you learnt from them?
A lot. Hey, Ezra Mam, he's such a proud Torres Strait Islander. I know growing up, before he was a rugby league player, obviously he him and his family do a lot of like dances and stuff like that for events and stuff like that. And it was actually really, really cool. I think it was last year. His family came in and did like a dance and a welcome to country at the upstairs in the cafeteria area, and Ezra actually got up and you know, did the dance, you know, literally like it was straight off his back, and obviously because he's done that for his whole childhood, it was just really, really cool to see how proud, and you know, he did it with such a huge smile on his face too, and I loved it. I loved it. And then you got players like Katoni Staggs as well, who's a very, very proud Indigenous man, and he always goes around representing it hard, as we all do anyway, in the changing sheds and stuff like that. So it's really, really cool to just have the amount of different cultures. You know, we've got a lot of we got a few Cook Islander boys as well. You know, Samoan, Tongan. So it's really, really cool to have a wide range of culture. You know, here at the Brisbane Broncos club. So yeah,
I think that's the best thing about rugby league. I don't reckon there is a sport on earth that is more multicultural.
Yeah.
Seriously, like if you look across the playing group, the representation of so many cultures, like that's what makes me feel at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Being with people who understand that strength in culture.
Yeah. It's really, really cool. It's really, like, you know, you don't know what you're gonna get on the day too. So. You know, and it's actually gotten to the point now where a lot of boys, you know, Ezra, you know, family have made some food, and he'll bring some in for the boys and stuff like that. So like you just get a bit of like taste of the culture as well, and their traditional food and stuff like that. And we actually do every once a year we do like a multicultural night, which is like the boys dress up in traditional culture wear, and you know, we all team up in teams, and then you bring on your traditional, you know, dish of where you're from. So I think me and Jesse Arthurs last year got hangi, which is like a traditional Māori food. So we probably cheated. We didn't actually go out there and dig the pit up and everything like that.
Was it fried bread and stuff like that?
Basically, it's all you know, done in earth really. So
well, now Koro, I see you sitting over there. You've been watching us, and I did mention it before we started, but would you be happy to come on mic? Because I have some questions about Geordie that I feel like it'd be better if it was answered by someone who has raised him.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Here we go.
He's coming in.
Thank you. So you've been listening to him talk about his upbringing and his culture and how he feels about it and all that sort of stuff. How do you remember Geordie as a little boy? What was he like as a kid?
Oh, he was a little shit, really. But
yeah, you can. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
Oh, so I forgot we were.
No, it's okay.
No, he was a good little kid. He had a hard life growing up because he had no father to bring him up. But when they come home, he was still a baby when they moved back to New Zealand. So I sort of was his dad, if you like.
Yeah.
But he was good. He's always had his mindset on playing league, so since he switched to league. In New Zealand, everybody plays rugby, but...
Yeah. Controversial then, eh?
Yeah. Well, that's our number one sport, so every kid's played rugby, but he used to love running with the ball. So I told his mum to switch him to league, and he never looked back.
How would you describe him, or like?
Oh, he's very kind, loving. He's a good boy. As I said, he did it pretty hard early, but he's come through the other end now.
Yeah.
And he's well set, well established, so he's doing fine over here. He's living his dream, which is good to see.
How proud does it make you when you watch him run out there?
Oh, very proud. Very proud. The whole family is of him.
What does it mean to the family? And when you guys are back at home, do you all watch the games together?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Never miss a game.
Yeah.
No, it's good. It's on late at night over there, but the whole family sits up to watch it. So.
Are you the type to scream at the TV?
No, I'm the quiet type.
Okay.
Even when he makes a mistake, I don't say much. But the rest of them are yelling and screaming, and
yeah,
you know, I like to just sit down and watch the game.
Geordie, listening to your Koro talk about this and what it means, and thinking about your family and watches you at home and whatever, like, I know you're a heart on your sleeve kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like, how much does that mean to you?
Oh, It's a lot, eh?
Mm.
All right, nearly got me crying there. Yeah, I'm just really proud. Sorry.
That's not doing me sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to. I think I worked really hard. It's really nice to hear that. They're really proud of me. I know they always are, and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really nice to hear, and that's probably the main reason why I play. Is my whole family. I run out there and I wear my family on my sleeve. So, in the tough times, I just, when I'm, a bit sore, a bit tired or stuff like that, or something's going on, I always just think back to my family and the reason why I'm playing. So, yeah, it's really, really nice to see that, they're all very proud of me. And, yeah, sometimes you can get a bit caught up in the whole rugby league world and tend to forget, the reason why you play. And, for me, I try to never forget. And, I'm always very close to my family and try to talk to them daily. So, yeah, it's really, really nice to hear. And, Caudle's a man of very few words. So, it's very nice to hear that, and and yeah, I know how proud he is of me, and yeah, it's real nice. Yeah.
It's probably a reminder that your success is bigger than you. Hey.
Yeah, definitely. I think I forget that quite a lot. How I like to think I've come really, really far, and I think, like I said before, you can tend to get caught up in that, and sometimes you got to take a step back. And Mum reminds me all the time that you just got to realize how far you've come, and sort of pat yourself on the back a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I there's nothing I love more than seeing the pride in someone, succeeding, and that family connection. So thank you so much, because I know that you weren't expecting to come on the microphone, and I can see how much it means to Geordie. So thank you. I mean, speaking of the heavy stuff, I think, and feel free to, if you don't want to talk about this, we don't have to, but you publicly grieved a really tragic, awful situation that happened to a close friend of yours while you were away. And I mean, on the flip side, I hope that there was some positivity in the way that people came together for Liam.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's been a little bit of time now since that's happened, but how do you feel about the public response to that, or being publicly grieving your mate? Do you think that in hindsight, how do you feel about that?
Oh man, it was probably one of the toughest things I've probably ever had to deal with in my life, I'd say.
Yeah.
AJ Brimson was another NRL player with me, and then his brother Will, who's been in and out of the NRL system and now plays Cup for Tweed, and we had a few other boys like Jesse as well. Jesse Arthurs was with us for majority of that holiday, and then he left halfway through with a few of his mates. Sorry, our group. Sorry. So it was very, very hard, and it was just I still to this day I don't understand, if that makes sense. As in I've heard every saying under the sun, really, meaning he's going to a better place, or when it's your time, that sort of thing. And I've just gone in my head, I don't know, I can't really wrap my head around that.
I've always hated that better place. I've always hated that. Because I'm for people that I love that have passed, then your better place is here.
Exactly. So it was just a freak accident. that we were told. And I want to give a huge, massive shout out to his family as well, who've started up the Hampo Foundation. They've really turned what was a tragedy into something so positive and so quickly too. And it's just amazing. And they're helping kids coming through that probably don't get the recognition or the funding and stuff like that to actually make their dream come true into the NRL or into any other probably sport as well. And I just think it's amazing. And there's myself and a few other ambassadors as well that definitely get around the Hampo Foundation. And it's really, really awesome to see how well they're going as well. That's
awesome. And I can't even comprehend how families do that in the face of tragedy, but I am so inspired by it. But people lose people that they care about all the time, but it's very rare that there's headlines about the do you feel like that, I don't know, made it even harder or made it more surreal like you're talking about?
I think the one thing I struggled with was because it was such a headline, and because it happened in Europe too, it was obviously on their news radar as well. I think it was really, really hard to deal with, what people were saying, and there was obviously, I don't know, there'd be rumors and this actually happened and all that sort of stuff. But I had some terrible, terrible things thrown my way, but I know that a lot of the other boys would have as well, like AJ and all that sort of stuff, and Jesse. Just from people, I didn't understand why this is such a terrible time, why add fuel to that. I didn't get it. So it was very, very hard to see the headlines and constantly waking up and getting reminded of that. But obviously for his family as well, it'd be very, very hard. For them, because they were here at the time when things would happen, and we were over there. So so man, I it was just a crazy thing. And AJ, Will, BJ Leonard, who was there as well at the time. It was just Lee and myself. It was just us five left. So AJ, Will, and BJ, they just they did such an amazing job, and held things together as well. And full credit to those boys, man. They just they've pretty much they just held it together. Those guys and stuff like that. It was just an awful time. And and I know that now, even though it was such a freak accident and stuff like that, and a terrible time, I know that Liam's definitely looking down on us boys and his family, and be very, very proud of us. And I just know that he would just be like I said, very, very proud. And it's just really, really a sad time, but we've got to live on his legacy and stuff like that too. So
absolutely. And I think it's a credit to the strength of the group of you that were there, the way that you were able to handle it and then support that legacy today. I think it's so tough for anyone to go through something like that.
It was it was pretty hard, There's a lot of I don't know, for me, I just, there was a lot of guilt for me, and I just felt a lot of guilt. And I just remember coming back and having a big conversation to his family, his mum, his dad, and they were in my corner. And I just want to thank them very much for how they helped me, because I just felt very, very, I don't know, just it's your mate, you like someone that you've been there with, and you want to help them out. He was one of my best mates. So, and he was just such a guy. He's an awesome person, such an awesome person, big ball energy. And I tried to carry out what he taught me in such a short time that we've known each other, they just didn't really care about what anybody said, and he just, like he wasn't the best dresser and stuff like that, and his kit and stuff like that. But like we always used to pay him out, but he was just like, oh, I don't care, I don't care, I love it, sort of thing. And I always just try to bring that into into how I think about some things sometimes, where I was like, it is what it is. Like I love it, so I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? And I got that a lot from Liam, and how much he backed himself too. Yeah. So it was cool. It was real cool. Yeah.
Those are great values.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
If someone comes and has an interaction with you, what do you hope they walk away with feeling like Jordan Riki is someone who
just caring, caring and loving. I want someone when I meet them, or for them to go away and I think I said earlier about my mum loves it when people go up to them and say, oh man, I met your son, he's just so nice and caring and all that sort of stuff. She always tells me she'd rather that than someone coming up to them and going, man, your son's a good rugby league player. Like she'd rather them say like who I am instead of what I do, if that makes sense. So I don't know, I just really want people to go away and sort of think of me as like a nice, caring person, I guess. And if I can help out in some way, in some aspect, then I'd love to help out. So yeah.
What a beautiful way to think about how you'd like to be perceived. And I guess if you had to think about what you would like your legacy to be, would it be in the same vein? Like when people 20 years time sitting at a pub, thinking, oh, remember Jordan Riki when he was playing? Oh, he was such a nice bloke. Is that what you remember?
Yeah.
Want people to remember?
I think as a player, I'd love people to just remember me as like the hardworking person, that would loves to roll their sleeves up and get in there and get amongst it. And I might not have the ability to do all the flashy flick passes and stuff like that, like Reese and stuff like that. But I just want someone to sort of go, man, Jordan Riki, he was on the field, he was loved to roll his sleeves up and get in there and do the little stuff for the team and sort of do the dirty work, I guess. And off the field, people just say, man, he was just such a nice, genuine is probably the big thing, just a genuine person, and love to enjoy himself and be around people. So yeah.
Well, Jordy, thank you so much for sharing in this chat. There's so much that you've given, and I think you have been exactly that, very genuine. So
thank you. Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. This podcast continues to surprise me and warm my heart in the way that my guests are so generous and open with their hearts and their vulnerability. Today, Jordy brought a few tears to my eyes, but reminded me when we see our favourite athletes out there on the pitch doing what they love, they're doing it for their families as well. Having his koro in the room made it a really special conversation and a moment that I won't forget anytime soon. A huge thank you to Jordan for sharing, and his koro for jumping on the mic when he wasn't that keen to at first. We are so grateful. If you're enjoying the show, make sure you're hitting follow wherever you're listening, and tune in for the next episode where we will be joined by the Cronulla Sharks winger, Ronaldo Mulitalo.
If your legacy is looking after your family, your friends and your community, and that's your legacy you left behind, I'll finish it now. So that's exactly who I want to be, and that's exactly what I strive to be every day. This year, NRL on 9 is your one-stop shop for all footy.
That's right, Freddie. Not about the highlights, action, 7 days a week.
Billy and Gus podcast, get that on your drive on the way home. Immortal Behaviour, grab a seat on the couch for that. And of course, my favourite, Freddie and the Own.
The best footy brains, the biggest games.
Don't trust the algorithm, subscribe to NRL on 9 and get all your entertainment there.